and welcome back to Greg's Game Room. In this video, I thought I'd discuss some of the arcade-to-home ports for the Atari 2600. However, it dawned on me that a good portion of the system's library is arcade ports, so I thought I would make this a series of videos covering those games. If you like this video idea, please remember to hit that like button down below. It only takes a second, and it truly motivates me to keep making videos. And if you want to see more videos in this series, be sure to click the subscribe to keep up with the channel. Our first game in this series is one of the biggest of all time, Asteroids. It was developed in 1979 by Ed Logg and is ranked as number 7 on the all-time biggest grossing games of all time. In it, you fly as a spaceship whose goal is to destroy the endless asteroid field, all while avoiding alien satellites and spacecraft. You can use the hyperspace button to get you out of a bind, but it doesn't always work. Asteroids is definitely a classic video game. The Atari 2600 version of this game doesn't even try to replicate the original's vector graphics. It just doesn't have the resolution to do it, but it does do a good job replicating the game mechanics as well as including different variations to extend the fun. Besides hyperspace, this game also includes shields from Asteroids Deluxe and the flip option, which never gets used. I've never used it myself. The other limitation is the path of the asteroids themselves. It's kind of somewhat limited. But the game does include those aliens if you use the difficulty switches, which I thought was kind of an odd choice. Even with these limitations, Asteroids for the Atari 2600 is a great and fun game, which is probably already in your collection. Our next game is Dig Dug, starring, Dig Dug? I've always been kind of confused by this. Is Dig his first name and Doug his last, or is it all one name, or... I don't get it. Never mind. In this 1982 Namco classic written by Soichi Fukutani, you play a little spaceman, I guess, whose garden is infested by goggle-wearing pukas and fire-breathing Figars. Use your space pump to mercilessly blow them up until they explode? Okay. You can also drop rocks to kill them, and if you drop 2 rocks, a bonus will appear. Eggplants. The premise of the game is that you can make your own maze, but it really isn't fair because those cheating little monsters will just float right through the ground to get to you. Yet another one of those classic arcade games. But how does it fare on the Atari 2600? Not quite as good. Obviously, it's far more limited as to where you can dig and move around. The graphics are kind of minimal, but surprisingly the sound and music is pretty good. Pumping up the monsters isn't quite as satisfying either because it looks like they just stretched the sprite to make it look like he's exploded. However, considering the limitations of the 2600, this is a pretty decent port. Gravitar is our next game, and it's a tough one. Developed by Mike Halley and Rich Adam in 1982, this is a cross between Asteroids, Space War, and Lunar Lander. You pilot a ship traveling from planet to planet, destroying gun turrets and collecting fuel, all while avoiding UFOs. Oh, and did I talk about the gravity? It's constantly pulling you towards the ground, making this game frustratingly difficult. You will crash a lot and probably swear a lot as well. The 2600 port is incredibly faithful to the original arcade game and was created by Dan Hitchens. Again, the vector graphics are not possible here, but what is included are the different planets, gun turrets, fuel pods, alien UFOs, and the incredible difficulty. This game was originally released for the Atari Video Club in a silver label and is highly sought after. However, a red label was released at a much later date and is probably the variation that most people own. Gravitar is definitely a hard game, but it can be fun if you give it a chance. Our next game is one that I just love. I don't know why, I just love this game. It's called Kangaroo, and it was developed in 1982 by Sun Electronics, the predecessor to the more well-known company called Sunsoft. In this game, you play as a mama kangaroo in an attempt to save her baby from a gang of monkeys. Her only weapon? A pair of boxing gloves that she uses to punch those monkeys. If you reach the top, you move on to the next of 4 stages. I really enjoy this game, and I think it's because it's so satisfying punching those monkeys. The 2600 port is okay, I guess. You still have to climb up to save your baby, all while punching the monkeys, so that's kinda cool. But the graphics are so sparse, you could barely even tell this game is Kangaroo. The mama looks so small, it's almost as if she's the baby trying to rescue a smaller baby. Anyway, I was really let down by this version of the game, but that's probably just my love of the original showing. Hey, at least the 2600 version has multiple stages, which, that's kinda cool. Finally, let's talk about one of the most popular arcade games of all time, and that is Pac-Man. As you probably know, the goal in this 1980 game by Namco is to eat all the dots and avoid the monsters. Eat the power pellets to turn the tables on the monsters so you can eat them too. Bonus fruit appears in the middle of the maze to mix things up, and that's basically the game. It's pretty simple. The Atari 2600 port is rather infamous. Developed in 1982 by Todd Fry in just 4K of memory, there are quite a few obvious differences. First is the colors. Atari required non-space games to have a colored background, hence the reason that it's blue. Next is the maze, which is much different than the original. Also, the sounds are different, the monster behavior is different, the look of Pac-Man is different. All of these differences are due to the memory and time restrictions placed on the programmer. For me, as a kid in 1982, I didn't get to play a lot of the original game, so I didn't really know any better. I still had a lot of fun with this version of the game, and as I've been saying for years, Pac-Man for the 2600 is a bad port of the original game, but it's not a bad game in and of itself. So there you have it, just 5 of about 80 arcade ports for the Atari 2600. There will be more to come, so make sure you click the like and subscribe so you can check out the whole series. Thank you for watching, have a great day, and remember to always keep classic gaming alive.